everyone, welcome back to On the Bar. Happy Mercury. Whoa.
I
can't even fucking say it.
Happy
Mercury.
We gotta include this in.
Mercury Retrograde.
Mercury Retrograde.
Go girl. You got it.
All right. Hi everyone, welcome back to On the Bar and happy Mercury Retrograde.
Woo!
Yeah. We got myself, Sterling, Cammie, Bella, and Sierra today with us on the pod. I don't know about you guys, but Mercury Retrograde has been kicking my ass. It's been drug me out by my hair and started beating me up.
I'm screaming.
The dumpsters. But we can get into that.
Not behind the dumpster.
Bill, took you out back.
He's giving me a noogie right now.
A noogie. A noogie is crazy.
She said, Mercury Retrograde is giving you those big wedgies you see in cartoons. Like, pull that shit over your head. Type.
She said, my leg.
That makes me miss my brothers. I miss beating them up.
In true older sibling fashion.
What can I say? I know who I am.
Can you tell she's the oldest?
Gabby, what have you been getting up to?
Yo, this week. I didn't even know it was Mercury in retrograde. I didn't even know.
Yesterday.
It started yesterday.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense. Was it also a full moon? Was it also a full moon on Saturday?
Full moon and eclipse.
And eclipse. I had the most full moon weekend ever because I went to a desert rave this weekend.
Is
it
that
was
what you
insane.
needed a sleeping bag for?
Yes.
Oh.
Wait, that sounds like so much fun.
It was fun besides the fact that I couldn't really do any drugs.
Oh.
So that's why it wasn't as fun. But it was also fun.
Wait.
But that also sounds really problematic.
Why? Why couldn't you do any drugs?
Just because, like, I feel like when I consume druggage, I like to be mentally, like, stress free.
No, that's fair.
You know?
Oh, and you're not in that.
And I need time to, like, recover. You need time. And, like, I had stuff to do Saturday. I have stuff to do today. And Friday was the night of the desert rave. And I was just like, there's no time for me to recover after this.
With,
But
like, school and...
yeah.
And that's on being
that's
an
fair.
adult.
That's being responsible.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Remember the days where we just had like long stretches of days where we could do drugs and recuperate?
Yo, summer.
When
It just...
I know, I can't wait for her to come back.
I need
She's
her
so
bad.
close.
I need her bad. But yeah, y'all, it was crazy though. Like let me just tell you the brief highlights of this desert rave.
I'm so ready.
We drove there. It takes an hour and a half to get there, somewhere out in the midst of the deserts of Palmdale. And there was a dirt road that we had to drive through, but the road had just recently been rained on, so it was just straight mud and puddles.
Whose car did you take?
We took Sajan's car, and he got stuck at one point, and his whole bumper came off the front of it. My other friend's car got stuck in a mud puddle, and they had to walk a mile out and go and find him and push him back, like get his car out of the thing. It's crazy. Our other friend's car got stuck. There were just like
Damn.
cars in the mud.
Jeez.
Wait, was this like on the way to Joshua Tree? I feel like that's where a lot
I
of
don't
like,
know.
desert raves.
I don't know where Joshua Tree is exactly.
I
I've
feel
never
like
been
she
there.
was probably on the way to Cal City.
Okay, it was like
which is like Fresno.
it was like Palmdale. Like we go up this way to Palmdale and then over in this
Okay.
area.
Yeah, like
Okay.
Cal City, which is like a big desert place, mostly for like like dirt bike riding.
Oh,
type
cool.
Things like that.
Cool. Shout out Cal City.
Mm.
But yeah, that was my weekend. A lot of everything went wrong. My friend lost his phone. Like everything went wrong.
Was the
Rudy.
music good?
Like
He'll be fine.
the music was good. It's not like music that I'm like going to for every weekend.
I
It's
see.
like the one time that I'm gonna listen to bass techno music, I
Mm.
guess.
Right.
You
Plus
know?
it's like heavily aided by drug usage. So
Yes.
like yeah, I understand.
Yeah, but it was freezing cold, and it was still, but it was a good time. It was
Yeah.
a good time. Yeah.
Would you recommend out of 10?
I will never do that again.
Okay.
But I had a good time.
Okay.
You know?
I have a similar experience. A couple years ago, my friend was invited by her coworker to a desert rave.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out it was like 20 plus drug addicts in the middle of the desert.
That's exactly what this was.
Yeah, okay, so it's not uncommon then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if it was the same thing?
What if it's the same people?
Right?
That's crazy.
The same exact people.
Show me one video and I can tell you if it's not or not.
Probably,
You
yeah.
know, I'll
So,
recognize those motherfuckers.
My friend and I drove out there. We were fully intending on spending the night. 2 hours towards Joshua Tree. That's why I was it in Joshua Tree? We find the place and we realize we suss the vibes. We're like, we're gonna get like 2 hours worth of dancing in, and then we're leaving. We're not spending the night here.
No, that's how I felt too.
Yeah.
With these people?
We literally looked at each other and we were like, hey, if we get on the road right now, we could be at Monty's in an hour and a half.
Real.
And that's what we did, and it was the perfect day. Like,
That's iconic.
yeah,
That
we
sounds
stayed there for
lovely.
exactly as long as we wanted to, and I advocate for that. Don't stick around in a place you don't want to be at.
And go
Just
to
to, like,
Monty's.
Yeah, and go to Monty's instead.
Yeah, I would
I've never
agree.
been.
Don't stay longer. If you don't like something, leave.
Yes. Go find your own fun.
Whoa. Completely.
That's insane.
Yeah. But okay,
That's fun.
what are other people's updates? Who's
I have a
next?
crazy story.
Oh,
a
I'm
wild story.
ready.
Okay, I'll keep it short and sweet, but basically, like, I've been on my, like, fuck men, I don't want to talk to anybody, like, you know, parade, brigade, I don't know. But long story short, I was in the elevator after moving one of my coworkers' cars, and a member was in the elevator with me, and he was asking me questions, and one thing led to another, and he had asked for my number. And he said he was an actor, and so I was kind of like taking it for what it was and just kind of being like, yeah, sure, okay, like, I'll give you my number, thinking it could just be like a connections kind of moment. Not really trying to go for like, I'll give you my number and like we can like connect and like go on a date and like hook up or whatever. And he was attractive, like he's an attractive man, but I was just like not really like going for that.
Yeah.
This man instantly texted me while I'm at the gym, and I was also working out, and I was like, geez, okay. And then later on, he continues to text me, and he's like, you want to hang soon? And I'm like, ugh. And I'm like, I would be down to get like coffee or something, like if you want.
Also, do you want to hang? Like, how about, would you like to go on a date with me?
How old are we?
Yeah.
This
You wanna
man is
come over and play video
definitely
games?
older
Like,
than me.
that's what
No,
it's giving.
literally. This man is definitely older than me. And so I'm like, this fan does not want any connections, but I'm going to try my best to like be as like, this is a connection, I don't want to hook up with you sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
One thing led to another, and I was working at Bodie, and mind you, it was 12:30 in the afternoon, I guess.
Ooh.
One thing led to another, and I don't know how this man got this impression, but he sent me a fucking dick pic.
Ain't no way.
In the afternoon?
In the afternoon.
In the broad daylight?
In the broad
12:30
at 12:30
p.m.
12:30 p.m.
Oh,
And my
that is
response
Was this during a
out.
weekday?
This was literally at Friday at 12:30.
Happy Friday.
And I literally said, that's a wild thing to say to somebody
I
at
need to know
12:30.
if that's like when he has on backlog or
I know.
if it's like
And
in
you
the
think he just-
moment.
that's not even the crazy
I need
part.
to know, like, he was like, this is the one.
I feel like
Like,
they
is he
haven't even-
scrolling through
No.
options?
But listen, that's not even the craziest part. The craziest part is the photo itself. It's not him holding his fucking dick. It's a woman holding
So
his
it was
fucking dick.
backlog. What a freak. What a freak.
And it's not
You kind of like it. You kind of like it.
That is so freaky.
That is literally
That is so
freaky,
freaky,
bro.
And so then it gets crazier. So then I'm like,
I appreciate how bold it is. Sorry.
It is
I'm
bold
like,
as
damn,
fuck.
respect.
He
respect.
wanted one thing, and he was going to let you know what it was. He said, baby, this is what I'm here for. He said, baby, this is what I'm here for.
Said enough talking.
He said, I don't care.
You want to recreate this?
So then I'm like, I'm literally like on my 30 and I go,
On your 30 and dick pic should never be.
I'm
I'm your 30 dick pic, and
I have not been sent a dick pic since
Unsolicited.
high school.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is insane for your grown age.
How old is he?
I don't know, but definitely too old to be sending a dick pic.
Right.
And I'm just like, I don't even have words. And I literally go, that's a wild thing to send at 12:30. And he literally goes like, you're welcome or something. And I'm like, and I make some snarky comment being like, oh, wow, did you get your nails done for the photo? They look so nice.
Oh, Lord.
And he's like, oh, those aren't mine. Like, it's a disregard, like, the female, like, hand in the photo. And I'm like,
What do you mean disregard?
he said, kindly ignore that one.
He's like,
User
like-
error on his end. He didn't mean
so
to say it like
then
that.
it gets fucking crazier because then this man is like, I'll never forget the first time I saw you at 5 a.m. the first time we met at the gym.
This man is a psycho.
yo, he's
He
texting you
sounds
like,
crazy.
Yes. So
desperate
then I'm like,
things.
What?
I feel like he's just texting you desperate things.
Yeah. And then I was like, I don't recall that day. I'm so sorry. And he was like, well, it's okay if you don't remember me because I remember you.
Hey,
Crazy.
guys, that's creepy.
Yeah. So then I like don't respond after that because he was like, because then he was like, when can I come over to your place? And I'm like, yeah, so I have a thing. I don't let guys over to my apartment after Roy G. Biv, if y'all remember. I don't let guys into my apartment. I saged my apartment, not letting guys over to my apartment since. And so then I like told him that, ghosted him, and then he texted me again and was like, hey, lovey, what are you doing right now? And I was like, ew, that's weird. And then one of my coworkers texted me and was like, hey, Bella Marie, do you know this member? Takes a picture of his like profile and it's the motherfucker. And I'm like, yeah, but not very well. I'm like, what did this person say to you? And my coworker was like, they were asking for you.
Nope.
Believe
Nope.
it. I believe it.
Girl,
I mean,
you
at this
be
point-
attracting the craziest motherfuckers. For
I feel
real.
like- I
That's
feel like you should
crazy.
maybe tell
your manager slash boss.
like, hey, this guy is creepy. I
Did you block
exchanged
him?
information purely professionally, and he's taken it to an inappropriate place. You literally have proof.
Oh, yeah.
And just be as outspoken as possible about it. You know.
Oh, yeah.
Also, it's so shitty, especially just like as pretty women who like to talk, like men take that and run. And
Right? I'm like,
when you're
is that not
at
crazy?
work, it's so disheartening, you know, because you want to make friends and connections and things, and then they send you a dick pic at 12:30 p.m.
A dick pic.
on a Friday.
On a Friday.
I'm like, that's wild.
Did you block him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
yeah.
number is blocked. The number is gone. Like, he can't or shouldn't be able to. But
Yeah, I definitely think tell your manager, because if he's going up asking for you, like, or tell your coworkers, like, hey, if this guy asks you about me, say I'm not here, say I'm on my break,
Yeah.
say I'm like, I'd like do not direct him my way,
yeah.
because it also is giving he saw you in that elevator and ran up in there, you know,
Mhm.
like saw you walking towards the elevator and said, "Ooh, now's my chance."
Right?
Like, and that's
I'm like,
some Joe Goldberg type shit, you know. what I'm talking about?
Literally. So yeah, that's like my update is that I have like another stalker on my hands. LOL. So what about you, Sierra? What's your?
I'm sorry, Bella.
Yeah, I'm
I just
sorry
think
about
it's okay. I just think it's the comical part to me is being sent a dick pic at my grown age of 24 because I did not put that on my bingo card for
Right.
2025.
Hey,
And
some-
that actually happened
You should
at the
print
peak
it
of
out. Is there like a bulletin board at?
yeah, you should print it out.
I should actually make it his profile picture on because we can change their profile picture
Uh-huh.
at the gym, and I should change his profile picture too.
You should.
That's
You should.
hilarious.
And be like, this dude's a creep.
Yeah.
I
Clearly, you're okay with sharing these things with strangers.
Yeah.
So I
In
just
the,
took
in
the
the
liberty.
broad daylight.
Yeah.
In the broad of daylight.
At 12:30 in
Like,
the
do we,
afternoon.
wait,
Oh my gosh, that's
collectively,
so
what's our
scary.
opinion on receiving dick pics? Do we like it?
No.
No.
You're my man? Send me a dick pic.
Yeah.
You're my man, my boyfriend of multiple years. And
Sure.
I
She
haven't
said there's
seen
a
you in 2
connection-
weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a connection established.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
I think it's silly goofy if my like boyfriend of like a couple like years or months depends on how many months, but like years if we like haven't seen each other in a minute or like this is very freaky of me, but like if we're like in a public setting and you like just send it, I'd be
Yeah.
like
I love things like that. I
Yeah.
love
Like,
little
that would
flirty
be
fun
kinda
things like
funny.
that.
but in like a silly goofy way.
But that's like I know you. I've
Yeah,
seen
exactly.
this before.
Exactly.
I've seen this before. I
think it's kind of corny, but I think if I also have never been in committed enough relationships where I like was like, yeah, okay, you know. So if
I still think it's corny.
yeah,
I still do think it's corny.
maybe
So I
like
hear you.
there is like corny for fun though. Like you can be corny for fun. Into which I just haven't gotten to that place with the person yet. But I get what you guys are saying.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess
What do you think?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, in a committed relationship, absolutely. But it doesn't really do anything for me, like sexually. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
It's just like, yeah, I'm gonna hype him up, but like,
Yeah.
though, I feel like it's just
No, I don't. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I don't look at
I
a penis
understand
and I'm like, wow, wow, wow.
Ooga.
Ooga, ooga. That's like me with any like body part though. I'm not like, I don't really get the whole concept of like looking at tits or like looking at an ass or looking at a penis and being like, I'm so turned on right now. But that's just like me personally.
I think that makes sense. I feel like these are things that are taught to be sexualized.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
But they're really just body parts at the end of the day.
And I feel like it comes from a very like male centric kind of viewpoint. It's
Mhm.
like it's the male gaze that's kind of come into our
No
brain.
Yeah.
But no hate or shame to the people that do find sexual arousement from that.
Oh,
No,
absolutely.
you suck. How
You
dare you
slut.
be turned on?
You dirty, dirty slut.
You dirty pig. You dirty pig.
Okay, dirty. Oh,
Oh,
I
y'all
just
ever
hit
seen
the mic.
Sex Education? Love that show.
I actually haven't. I started it, and that was during my like Mormon, like my more adjacent to Mormon years, and
Then
it was too much
that's a crazy
for me.
show to watch when you're adjacent to Mormonism. No, it
It
is.
was crazy.
It
was
is. It's a crazy show to
I
watch
was
when you're like still Mormon adjacent. Like that's a crazy. Yeah, but I would recommend it now that you have a more liberated thought or like viewpoint.
Liberation.
Yeah, like my sorry, tangent. But the only reason why I even know about the show is because my friends were taking like a sex health class in college, and he was showing that show. Like every Friday, every once a week, he would play an episode. Okay, anyways, we can cut that out. My life updates. My life has been super, super quiet this past like month and a half. Which I don't think I'm like. I think I'm okay with that. TBH. 'Cause usually that means shit's about to go down. And if it
That's so
doesn't, then
true.
I guess like I'm eating my own words. But usually the pattern to my life is like, oh, my life is quiet, and then something happens, and then I'm like,
It's so true.
So I'm just whatever.
Yeah, enjoy the peace.
Yeah, I'm cat sitting for my friend. So that's fun. Me and her cat are kind of frenemies, so it's been nice to build a bond.
You've been like a spy.
Well, it's because I think it's just because I smell like my dogs, and the cat doesn't like dogs. I also think I have dog energy. Like I think like as a like if I were to be categorized as like a dog or a cat person, I think I'd be more like a dog person. So I think she's just like you're a lot. But I'm like, girl, I'm the only person that's feeding you for 5 days. So me and her are friends now.
She tightened up real quick.
Yeah, she locked in.
Fine.
She locked in. Yeah, literally that's it. Like work, living life, debating. I've been debating getting a master's, but that's like a lot of money.
In what?
I kind of want to get a master's in communication and then do like emphasis on like media or entertainment or things like that. Just because that's not what my degree is in, but that's what I want to do. So I feel like a master's would really help my credibility in this like industry / field. And I don't want to study business anymore. No offense to all my business girlies out there. I did it for 4 years. I don't want to do it anymore. Anyways, that's me.
Real.
That's so real. I also like would love to get a master's in some sort of communications or marketing, which is business,
But like marketing, like I would honestly like if you've never studied marketing, I would recommend doing it. It's just because I already did, so therefore I don't want to do it anymore.
yeah.
And so I'm like, let's do something a little different. Also, I just want to have 2 degrees. I want to be like, I'm a 2 degree.
I understand that.
I wanna
Flexing
know.
a degree just feels so good.
Yeah, I just want 2 degrees, but that's a lot of money. So that's me right now. And that's debt that I don't want to be in.
That's real.
Not in this economic and political climate. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Especially now that we're kind of like heading towards a recession, you were saying?
Oh yeah, it's like
Yes.
we have like gigantic recession indicators. Like it's
Yep.
like not
Ay,
fun.
ay, ay.
Yep.
Literally, it was so bad. My sibling's father texted our group chat
Sorry, I had to think.
No,
My
you're good.
sibling's father.
Yeah, so I have older siblings, but they all have the same dad, and then I have a different dad from them. But he texted our group chat, and he was like, "So it looks like we're gonna go into a recession again. So I really recommend you guys start investing." And I was like, "I don't want to hear this right now."
With what money am I
What
investing?
money, and also, isn't that not a great time to start investing?
No, it is
Right?
because
I think it is depending on. It depends
Sorry.
on.
No, you're fine. I don't know.
I think it depends on what you invest in. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's like.
But what if the stock market crashes?
Well, like
the idea is to when the stock market crashes to then buy because
Right.
everything's super
because then
low.
everything's super low, and like you'd get your money back. But it also depends on like the things you're investing in, because some things, nothing is recession proof, but some things are like recession proof.
like property.
Yeah, like property, or like that's why like a lot of older people are invested in like gold or silver, because
Right.
that's technically recession proof. And then also there's a difference between like retirement investing and like just like investing, like how redacted like Jacques does it. Like Jacques
Redacted.
like Jacques.
Shout out to Jacques.
Jacques will probably, if we go into recession, if the stock market crashes, he'll probably lose hella money.
Sterling, what's your update? What's
Yeah.
your
I've just been
Life
so
update.
busy. I've been having to fulfill the commitments that I made at a time when I was having when I had less on my plate. And so I have just been going through the cycle of like working coffee shop job, and then coordinating this project and getting things ready to go, and then also doing the nonprofit program called Co-op that Sierra so kindly put me onto and has been helping me a lot. But it's a lot of fucking work.
Girl,
Yeah.
that shit's cool. For
And
real.
then like managing all of those things, always trying to keep busy, but then also like it's hard because I'm not those two things that take up so much of my time are two things that I'm not being paid for, and it really feels like they're things that I love doing and I feel like fulfilled by, but there's also this pressure that I'm putting on myself, really, is that like, you know, you should be getting paid for your efforts, you know, that like somehow that equates to more of a sense of accomplishment, you know, which is like the reality is like, yeah, I'd love to be getting paid more, but I'm doing these things for that end, you know. And right now it just is hard to put effort in, I guess, you know. I'm just getting a little burnt out, and then I'm kind of thinking like, well, what is it all for, really? But I know there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel, and I know it's going to be all worth it.
I understand that feeling, like desperately, like I feel you, like literally everything that I'm doing in my life right now, I'm not getting paid for, except for like maybe a few things. And it's hard to sustain. And then also just makes me, the thing that helps me is recontextualizing like what I value and why I value it. Like, and like you already said that, like money isn't inherently an indicator of our success as much as it feels like it. You know, I don't know.
Absolutely.
Oddly enough, that exact phrasing that you just said of like why am I even doing this, or what is this even for? I saw a TikTok that was saying like cosmically, like the Mercury retrograde that's like happening right now, like you're gonna be feeling the feelings of like what am I doing, like what is it, what is like, you're gonna be having these like questions of like what am I doing, or like what is like even worth like what is my worth of like my time or whatever.
Yeah.
So like when you said that, I was like, that's so strange. But
spooky.
That's
yeah,
what
I love that.
Isn't that
Which makes me feel more confident that I'm on the right path.
Yes.
Because we were also talking about angel numbers and how we both have been seeing 111 lately,
like
Sierra.
everywhere.
What's
Like,
1 mean again? I forget.
it's like when you're peak manifestation.
And to me it represents like new beginnings.
Yep, like I think like
Signs
it
of
would
new
be,
beginnings
if
in
you
life.
didn't feel this at some point in the process, that would be wrong.
And it's things that are I'm just so grateful that they're things that I'm interested in, and I'm like, there's so many people who are like don't have that passion element in their life.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, like really in the grand scheme of things more important to me than making a lot of money. That's not to say I don't want to make money, but
Also, on that topic, I've been like really trying to get myself to get out of this like it sorry, not to get on my soapbox, but I'm gonna step on it for a second. It's such a product of capitalism to be like, I want to be rich, I want to be rich, I want to be rich. That's how rich people keep in power, by making that our goal. So I've been like in such a thought process too of me like, yeah, obviously I want to make money because I want to be able to survive. I don't want to be poor anymore. I've lived that life and I'm over it.
Right.
But I am trying really hard to be like, I just want to like have a fulfilling life, and hopefully that is a life that like I am being able to like put food on the table and sustain myself in those ways. But also hopefully in our lifetimes we won't be living under a system that requires so much for that to be accomplished, you know?
No kidding.
It reminds me, that sentiment reminds me of I think the name of it is Heart of a Woman by Maya Angelou. It's about her 20s into her like middle age. But that woman did so much in her life that was just, I hold her in my head as like this great person, great artist.
I love
so
her.
well spoken and poetic, obviously, but just full of insight and wisdom.
Yeah.
But she details like every part of her life, and there's parts of it that are like so mundane and so just I think, you know, like I think she's a secretary at some point, but then there's another point where she's married to an African diplomat and she goes from living her whole life in the United States to moving everything to Africa, you know. So like
Crazy.
there are these, it really impressed upon me when I read that book that life isn't linear in the way that you want it to be. You know,
Yeah.
that like you can have this great illustrious life, but right now shit's boring.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And the best example I always try to tell myself is that like when you look from the outside in, like what you're experiencing right now, like a week from now could be like you could be somewhere like super low or super high. Like it's just a matter of like you just can't predict the future. Like when like a couple weeks ago, like when I was like, there was one week where I was like in the midst of like a fun little flirty little like with a guy and doing all sorts of fun little things, and like, you know, we were having sex and like hanging out every other day, and then the next week I was like angry and heartbroken and $800 in debt and literally having the worst fucking week of my entire life, to the point where I was like questionably like considering like what the fuck did I do wrong to deserve all of this horrible shit to happen to me. And I literally kept thinking back to like a week ago from that exact day, being like how was it a week ago I was not feeling like this,
And how are you feeling now?
now I'm feeling like pretty like chill.
Yeah, stasis.
Like I feel very like stable. Like nothing has gone horrible, nothing's gone bad. I feel very like just like at like a almost feel like when you're like in the middle of the ocean and it's like calm, like you've just passed through the like the eye of the storm, and now you're just like in the midst of nothing, but you're just kind of like waiting there, and you're like, what's gonna happen? Something's gonna happen, but I don't know what.
Yeah.
But I do feel that, and it sucks because it's just like you just want to know, and the anticipation of not knowing it's your anxiety being like, can you just tell me? Can you just let me know? Like it really, can I just have a playbook so I can just like chill and just like know what my life's gonna be like?
And I feel like that's really just the whole premise of mindfulness is
Exactly.
allowing
to be more present,
allowing yourself to be in the exact moment you find yourself in,
which is so hard.
I feel like that's what is it, like the root of all suffering essentially is that feeling of like I want to know, or over analyzing the past, but like in the present nothing's wrong.
So true.
Yeah, I think like just as all of our emotions that we're feeling are just so needed. Like it's needed for you to feel this way, because also I'm thinking too, like once the passion wears off and that motivation wears off, that's when the discipline comes, and that just means
that's really being tested for me right now,
and that's a beautiful thing for it to be tested, because now you get to learn how do you do discipline in a way that works for you. There's not a right way for us to get our our dreams and aspirations done, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You get to do it the way you want to do it. You don't have to compare how much you're getting done or how little you're getting done to someone else's.
Absolutely, yeah. It reminds me of another book I'm currently reading called The Compound Effect. It's a self-help book, and it's very like Western productivity minded, but it's the idea of like small actionable change within your life that fits within it to yield long-term success, and that can be applied to like any part of your life. Is that like if you can just write down things that you're doing each day to accomplish just one specific goal, then there's genuinely like nothing that's going to stop you from at least making progress in it.
Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah.
I think we're sold this idea that, you know, you can change your life overnight, that there's like this instant cure to like anything that we have, but like ultimately it's just time.
It is just time. And time is not even real. What do they say? Time isn't real.
Time is a construct.
Yep.
So should we get more into Mercury retrograde?
Yes, because
Sure
these
thing.
2 little like articles that I have going, I'm like, it has me so intrigued, and I want to read all of yours. Like it has me like,
Ooh.
Okay.
because our girl is dealing with, or not by our girl, I mean Sterling, because she is dealing with Mercury retrograde. I feel like she's been struggling, or she says she's been struggling. I wanted to read off what People magazine says for Sagittariuses. I'll go.
I'm a Sag moon, by the way.
Wait. She's a Leo. Yeah.
Why did I think Sag?
What's
I
your
always
rising?
think
Scorpio?
that.
Scorpio, yeah.
I always think that you're a Sag when you're a Leo.
I feel like my Sag does come out kind of a lot. So does, I don't know.
Well, for your
Party
Leo
girl.
sun, it says, give yourself enough room to change your mind without jumping to conclusions, Leo. I'm putting on my glasses.
Yes, do this, queen.
I think it was pretty much saying like this month or 3.5-ish weeks, you're gonna be feeling like how you were saying, so like, what do I value? What do I want to do? And what am I doing? If what is what I'm doing taking me to where I want to go?
Yeah.
Are the people that I'm talking to taking me where I want to go?
Mm-hmm.
Is anything in my life aligning to what I want to do? And it's saying that when Mercury stations direct, someone that's out of retrograde in April, it's like April 10th or something like that, you'll find more clarity to those questions.
So read your guys's and then we can come back maybe.
For me, Miss Aquarius, because I'm a double Aquarius and I have some Pisces in me, I'll read the Aquarius and Pisces. But for Aquarium, it says, take your time to think before you speak, Aquarium. With Mercury in retrograde lighting up your curiosity or curious third house of communication, it's easy to put your foot in your mouth. Well, whether that's sending a message to the wrong person or having your words misinterpreted by others.
Dick pic at noon.
Dick pic at noon? Yeah.
I'm screaming.
It's comedy.
It's not unusual to feel you're stuck in a loop, rehashing old conversations or clarifying misunderstandings. Double check travel plans or directions. LOL. Okay, and then for Pisces, because that's my rising, it says, the clarity you seek will come later. Take it slow for now, Pisces. Mercury retrograde in your stability seeking second house could trigger financial confusion. Please no. Or another note, feelings or insecurities. Please no. You may receive an unexpected bill. I'm not reading more.
Wait, speaking of unexpected bills, if you're registered in California, your car, pay that shit. It's coming up next month. April is when car registration is due.
Wait,
Are
isn't
you
it
supposed
per
to,
person?
Yeah, it's due per month.
Oh,
Wait,
is it
wait,
different
wait.
per person?
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying that time is coming.
That's when Sterling's is due.
Sterling's
mine is
registration
due.
in April, and she's stressed out.
Also, I am. Also, when you type in DMV car registration, the very first website is a sponsored website that will quote you $100 more to be the middleman to paying it. It's a scam. don't do
It's
it.
a scam.
Girl,
Don't feed into the scams.
Guys,
I'm looking directly into
yeah.
the barrel.
to pay your registrations, please just go to the DMV, or if there's those DMV little thingies and like a Ralph's near you, that is also okay. Don't
Do
use
not
anything
feed
else.
into scams. Do not feed into
Don't do
scams. Do not feed into scams.
I'm like, y'all, we need to be comfortable with this. This is our life, paying bills.
Yeah.
I think that's an important conversation
Pay
as
my
a,
bills.
as we are transitioning into adulthood.
Real.
You gotta take away the stress from paying the bills because they
Yeah.
never go away.
For real, yeah.
This is now life.
All right, Miss Taurus.
Can you also read the Gemini at some
Yes.
Oh
point?
yeah, I'm Gemini.
Yes, I
rising,
will.
so she can-
What's your moon?
Aquarius?
Oh, so okay, lovely. Okay, Miss Taurus. Okay, it's a good time to reflect and process quietly and avoid dramatic confrontations, Taurus. Mercury retrograde is in your 12th house and could bring some long buried thoughts and secrets to the surface, whether that's having dreams that are extra vivid or unexpected revelations about your past. Be mindful of isolating yourself. Blockages of communication could lead to misunderstanding with close friends.
That sounds intense.
Yeah, my it always does.
I feel
It
like-
never doesn't.
I feel like you're playing it well though, because you were just saying like everything's been like smooth sailing, you know? Like,
Yeah, but I also will say that when I tend to have nothing going on in my life, I do tend to just be
Get into-
depressed.
Oh, I see.
And that
because-
turns into isolation.
yeah, because I just don't talk to anybody.
I see.
Oh.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we'll be sending some check-in texts to you.
Because I just won't talk to anybody.
Yeah, we'll just text you and be like, hey, let's go on a hike. Let's
Let's go on a
We
hike.
need to have
Yeah.
another bar night.
Mhm.
Okay, for your Gemini
That's so real.
rising.
Are you
Um,
Gemini rising?
A Gemini rising and moon.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh, right. Okay, for my Gemini girlies too. It's a great time to reconnect with people from the past, but be sure to double check the details before making a commitment, Gemini.
I'll tell you why in a second.
Something crazy on that too.
Yeah.
In addition to being ruled by the messenger planet, Mercury retrograde is in your 11th house of associations, networks, and communities affairs. Could make the group chat a bit or a tad bit chaotic. A social invite.
Our group chat today. Literally our group chat today.
A social invite could also get lost in the shuffle, and you may get an unexpected message from an old friend.
Hey, so all of that was a little crazy.
That was too much.
Yeah,
that
that
just
was
gave me
too much.
anxiety.
Literally, I was telling Sterling today. I woke up this morning to It's also like so.
I've seen
it's
too much.
so funny. I woke up this morning to a random like Snapchat friend request from like an ex that like I'm on good terms with. We haven't talked in like a hot minute.
You might be on good terms with him, but I'm not.
Sterling isn't. Sterling
after
doesn't.
hearing about what happened.
Yeah, Sterling didn't like him, but like I'm like whatever with him. Like if I saw him on the street, I'd say like, "Hey, how are you?" Like I'd catch up with
You
him.
wouldn't clock him?
No, I don't care that much.
Mhm.
But I was just weird because out of like all the ways that he could have reached out, first of all, why that app? But second of all,
Snapchat?
that's what I'm saying. But also just like random. I'm like, why are you on Snapchat? And you're thinking, what if I befriend this person?
That pisses me off. The use of Snapchat in any age pisses me the fuck off.
I
agree.
use it specifically because I have one friend who that's the only way I keep up with her. If
a good friend.
If I didn't have that app, me and
Real.
her would not keep up with each other in the slightest.
Yeah, I wouldn't be kept up. Yeah. No, bro. I also got a text from an ex last night.
Which one? Which one? Which one?
Okay.
Which one?
Okay. This really has to be bleeped.
Okay.
This
Which
really has
one?
to be bleeped. Not. Remember the sugar daddy I dated that
Tell me why I was literally thinking about you
Yes.
and him today.
that wrote Transformers. The one.
Yes, I was literally thinking about you and him today.
I'm sorry. Hey, lore drop.
Wait.
What happened?
Shout out to that man I dated though. He was paying my bills for my first semester of college. So
Love that for
Period.
you.
thank you. I would not have done
Also,
that without
Tip, I feel like it's
him. Date
a
men
tip
for
that-
money. Oh.
Right.
Sorry.
Yes.
No,
But
I'm sorry.
tip
wasn't
that
real.
I've never deployed, but I feel like I need to get it out there so other people can. If you're interested in finding men who are of a certain tax bracket, don't go to the club. Go to a fancy restaurant's bar and just post up there alone. They will come to you. I've seen it in action.
Really?
Yes.
Yes, bro.
Hey, Bella, are we just kind of want to check
Try
where
it.
your mind is with that information.
Try it and report back.
Yeah. Just so
But also look for a wedding band tan
yes,
line.
please too.
Tan line is crazy.
Yeah, look for that indent.
She said
or
wedding
that tan
band
line.
tan.
Yeah,
line.
or that indent. If
Not
they're-
new here.
Yeah, you know,
Oh,
if you wear a wedding band for that long, it's like when people wear a watch and it's like
Mhm.
just there. So you can see it.
That's so true.
It's so gross.
The hair's there, just like
Or like I weirdly matted down forever. Yeah.
Gross, gross,
Unwashed.
gross.
Ew.
Unwashed.
When
A
it
lot
has
of
like
bacteria.
actually let me not.
Bacteria.
Grody.
Back to Mercury retrograde.
But yeah, so basically,
Basically astrology is real.
Okay, those ones are crazy for me. Those ones all align exactly with where I'm at in my life in this current retrograde. Like, I'm really struggling with my schedule and trying to find enough time to accomplish everything that needs to happen in the week while also giving myself time to rest. I don't really have time in my schedule to rest. And that makes me go like, okay, I just need to keep exploring how my schedule and not get too like tightly wound around it and my routine. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. That was like weirdly what's the word? I guess accurate too, in terms of like I don't mind being like reflecting and being quiet, but I definitely will just like stop talking to people. And I literally had that thought. I had that thought this weekend because I was like I wanted to do something for St. Patrick's Day weekend.
St. Patty's Day.
St. Patrick's Day is for the Irish. But
Irish.
but I was like, I have work in the morning and nobody's texting me anything. And so I just watched 5 episodes of Severance and then went to bed.
I see no problems.
Well, it's just no, like
No,
it's
I get it.
fine. I just like I just like won't talk to people like ever.
I also
Yeah.
I feel like I'm
I
on the
get that.
opposite scale, which isn't any better, but I've found myself like if I'm sitting down and I can literally watch maybe like 10 minutes of a show before I'm like I have to find something to do. I feel like I'm like hyperactive right now.
No, I wish I was like you. I'd
Mm.
get a lot more done if I
It's-
stopped.
It's interesting because this article, so I like wanted to get more details as like, because this article, literally the title of it, it says like, this Mercury retrograde is going to be real rough. And I said, oh.
Come on,
Um,
Kat.
I literally can't hear that shit right now. Like,
But-
I literally
but-
cannot
but-
digest that. What do you mean?
But-
Wait, guys, I'm kind of crashing out. So much has to happen over these next couple of
Dude,
weeks.
I know I have
Wait.
the travel thing specifically. Like I'm going to Dallas for work, and it's like. Yeah, okay, here we go, I guess. You know, what am I going to say? Like, can we reschedule this whole event because, like, the stars and the moon is not aligned?
The stars are telling you to not even get on.
I
a
don't
plane.
like
like,
that mine
yes.
is talking about budgeting and my financial stuff. Like, I can't have that be the case, guys. I can't have that be the
Bella's-
case.
hey, universe.
Yo, that was crazy.
Bella's already gone through it. She's already rebudgeted. She doesn't need to do it again.
Like, I don't, like,
The
like,
universe heard that and laughed.
literally. Like, it says Mercury retrograde will impact Aquarius's communication style and budget. What the fuck do you mean?
She said, what do you mean
And then
by
it
that?
says Mercury retrograde will impact Pisces' financial properties,
priorities.
and self-discipline.
Oh, that's not fun.
But then, so
Hey, you could get in touch with Sarah's financial advisor girl.
Oh my god, yeah. You want Tia's information?
Ooh, Sarah.
Me.
Oh, I heard Sarah.
No, yeah.
I was like, who's Sarah?
Me. I know this
Communication
one
issues.
lady. Tia. Shout out Tia. She's great. And she went to my school. It says Mercury retrograde will impact Taurus's intuition and personal boundaries. Hey, that's not.
For Scorpios, it says calendar management and creative inspiration.
Just too much.
I can't do that. I need everyone to know that before I came to this podcast, I was crashing the fuck out about that. About literally that. I was
So it's
literally
already-
crashing
I
the
will
fuck
say-
out.
Already impacting you.
But I will say this is just a retrograde, so it's just a moment in time. It's not forever,
So
yeah,
true.
it'll end
you
in
know.
April.
And it honestly just gives more clarity to the fact that like what we're feeling
That's true.
is like it's not for nothing. It's
Mhm.
actually like it gives more like insight that like what we're feeling is like valid.
Yeah.
You
And I
know,
think
like
yes.
on a larger scale, I think that's what I enjoy about astrology is that it helps me kind of zoom
Relate.
out, and it lets me kind of I try to come at it from like an empathetic point of view where it's like, you know, I don't know everything about you because I know your big three, but I can try to empathize and look at you more as like a holistic kind of thing, and like maybe this is why you're behaving this way, or like, you know what I mean. It helps me get to know someone. Also, it's a great conversation starter because when you drop astrology into the convo,
oh, it changes people's.
oh for sure,
that.
and even when you say, oh, I don't believe in that sort of stuff, I don't know what it, like, that still tells me a little
lot
bit
of
about who you are as a person, you know. It's it's just interesting.
Speaking, do you want to know what yours says?
Yeah. I was gonna be like, can we read your sentence real quick?
Sterling said this beautiful, lovely thing about the positivity behind everything, and Bella
I
went,
want her
bitch.
to, and I want her to keep that in mind as Bella reads this.
Oh,
I have to
I'm ready.
create chaos.
Okay.
It says Leo's it will impact Leo's travel plans and emotional connections.
should we all just cry right now? Would that make us
Group
better?
cry session. Group cry
Wait,
session.
can I ask what's emotional or what they're
What is big three, or at least his,
what's his
or
sign?
at least his rising?
Oh, it's we're so similar, but his rising is Pisces,
Ooh, okay.
What's his sign?
Which is financial priorities and self-discipline.
which I don't know. I'm still undecided whether or not I'm going to talk about it on the pod, but like this whole like relationship stuff. But I've been helping him with that stuff. I introduced him to Tia.
Oh yeah, you told me
yeah.
about that.
Yeah,
Which I'm glad. So that she'll stop.
What's his son?
he's a Leo, Sag, Pisces, and I'm Leo, Sag, Scorpio.
Well, for Sagittarius,
Oh.
it does say romantic intrigues and emotional processing.
So maybe this is just a time when you guys.
Just processing.
Yeah, you guys just. I feel like this is just gonna be time where you guys are probably gonna have all those like necessary, difficult conversations, and it's remembering that like though they're difficult and though they probably don't feel great, like if should you guys get through them, it's only gonna benefit you. So like
Right.
to not take everything like this is so frustrating. I don't know the fuck he's saying this. Like I don't blah blah blah. Like he's gonna come at it one way. You're gonna come at it one way. If you get through this, it's gonna be so good.
Yeah.
It's just is gonna kind of suck in the moment.
That's the thing that, right, like we're
Yeah.
as we crash out, the thing that helps me is being like, this is just exposing the things that need to be exposed for our growth.
Yeah.
There is no growth without pain.
Ooh,
Yeah,
this
there's
is
no such thing as
interesting.
comfortable growth.
This article talks about how when Mercury's in certain signs, it like has different ways it expresses it. Like when Mercury is in Leo, it's theatrical, and it's like it has like a very like expressional way of like showing it's like how it like I guess that's why I don't know. And then in Scorpio, it's intuitive and strategic, but then like right now it's in Aries,
Which is the sign of
chaos.
chaos and confrontation.
There's so many conversations to be had.
I know.
Girl, astrology's fun. Like when
It
you
is
really
so
like
fun.
when you like really get into it, no matter what you think about it. Because sometimes I was telling Sterling earlier when I talk about it, sometimes I hear myself talk and I just have to. I literally was talking to her and I went, "So do you believe in angel numbers?" And then I rolled my eyes and walked away. I just like heard myself say that and I had to stop. But
Me
like,
with that, my angel numbers
you
above my bed.
believe?
Like I hear you.
no, girl, I literally like
I relate so much.
I literally I have like a daily planner and like in a section of it's just like notes like for the day, and I put down the numbers I see each day.
That's cute. I
so
like
that I know
that.
like what is trying to be told to me, and like I actually can like take it down, you know. But yeah, like astrology and stuff, I feel like it's one of those things that it feels kind of like woo, like pseudoscience-y, and whatever your take is on that, but like the stars and the moon, they do move. These things are happening. Like it quite literally is like an astrological thing that's happening. Whether or not you want to believe it's affecting you is on.
If we can agree that the moon changes the tides in the ocean and we're 70% water,
Right.
wouldn't
Yeah.
it just stand to reason that the moon has some kind of effect on us too?
Yeah, and
the
if
moon
we're
was literally red the other day.
yeah.
Beautiful.
And it was gigantic. Also, we're also made of stardust. So if the stars are doing stuff too, does that not mean we wouldn't? That's us. That's us for real. That's literally us for real.
Also, let me have some whimsy and fun in my life.
Right.
Like, what does that how does that detract from me? I feel like it adds. I
Yes.
feel like we all need a spiritual practice, whatever that might be for you, and I think mine is like an amalgamation of a lot of different things that speak to me. What's so wrong with that?
Completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
Completely agree. We all need a spiritual practice.
Mhm.
I love that. That's like my take on religion right now.
Mm-hmm.
Also with astrology, if you believe in God, you believe that God created everything.
Mm-hmm.
You believe that God created the stars, the moons, right? It makes sense to me that maybe all of these things that God created holds energy. Like if you believe in God,
Right.
If this
I-
is like this
yeah.
is my logic. If you
It's like
believe
a
in God.
hypothetical.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
Why would those things not also be interacting with us energetically? If the things that on Earth are interacting with us energetically, like you go outside in nature, you feel the thing, you know. It makes sense that would be feeling the thing from the stars too,
Mhm.
Right.
You know.
Mhm.
No, I agree.
And I'm so
Thanks.
I feel like I don't
Mashallah.
have to have an explanation, you know? It's just kind of like what I feel deep in my bones to be true, and like that's
It's
Yes.
what
that's all the
helps.
explanation.
It's
Like,
what
Also,
helps
there's
you.
the 12 prophets. There's the 12 signs. Also, we have the 3 Godhead. You have your big 3. There's so many things. Manifesting is literally just praying.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're all
Yep.
doing the same thing.
It's
Let
just
me do
it's
it
an
how do it
interchangeable
the way
word.
I want to do
Yeah.
it.
let me do it the way I want to do it.
Literally.
We're all
It's
doing
an-
the same thing.
Mhm.
It's
Period.
an interchangeable word. It's a exactly.
Tea.
Clock it.
Uh-huh.
Clock it, bitch.
And especially when like you feel like you're trying everything you can to like make it to so that you don't feel this way or so that it's not this way, and then it ends up happening that way. You're like, what the fuck?
I think that's too like something to pinpoint. Like, I don't think there's a feeling that anybody should be like trying to run away from, in a sense. Like,
Mm.
our feelings all have purpose, and
Mm.
no feeling in itself is inherently bad.
Mhm.
That's something that I'm working on right now, is like when I'm
Trying to-
feeling like the stress and when I'm feeling a certain emotion that I would normally classify as negative, to try to reframe my brain like, okay, I'm feeling this right now. There's no purpose in running away from it or demonizing myself for feeling this emotion. This
Right.
emotion is part of the human experience,
Mhm.
and I need to feel it.
Right.
You know, we have to feel through the negative emotions, otherwise they're going to get stuck in our bodies.
And if I
Mm.
might tag on and tell me if it doesn't align with how you're feeling, but something it really dawned on me that our emotions, the things that come up, those are separate from who we are. Like if you don't necessarily
Preach.
align yourself with a negative emotion, for whatever it might be, it doesn't have to be who you are. It's
Mm.
something that kind of comes, you can observe, you say, you know, hi, you're here now, but you're not me, and I don't need to act on this thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful and lovely, and something that I think everybody should go to therapy for, to like learn that. Like
Mhm.
that's so like therapy talk to me
Mm-hmm.
in like such a beautiful way. Like that's something that you learn
Mm-hmm.
by learning the skills
Mhm.
of
Right.
how to detach yourself from every thought that's coming into your brain. You're
Mhm.
not every thought.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You don't have to act on every thought. That's like the main thing of why some people like can't get out of that, like like why some people when they have like bipolar disorder, like why there is such a significant difference between like you have like 2 people who are bipolar and there's one person that acts one way and one person that acts a different way, and it's like even if they're both medicated, like sometimes like it's just who acts on their emotions and who doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And it's just acting.
Yeah.
You don't have to act on every single thought you have, but let yourself still feel those emotions, like what you said, you know.
Yeah. Let yourself process.
Yeah.
And also, it's so beautiful that we get to experience all these emotions.
Mhm.
I think so too.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You know?
it's even the negative ones, nostalgia, you know, heartache, you know, those sorts of things. I think if you feel them for long enough, you get to a point where you feel as comfortable with them as happy emotions, quote unquote
Mhm.
happy emotions, quote unquote good emotions. It doesn't. It sometimes it overcomes you, and you kind of get swept up and you feel negative about it, and that's natural. But I think I've come to a point also where I express gratitude that I can even feel these things. That like it's a profound part of the human experience is to feel quote unquote negative emotions.
Yeah, and I also want to classify, like, I feel like this is separate from like what we're talking about, and I don't think like either of you like or any of us are saying this, but I do want to classify. I do feel like it is separate from like experiencing deep depression.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
Oh yeah.
that is something that takes more than just reframing your thought process to get out of. So I don't want to make it sound like it's just an easy thing to do, but just in our daily lives as we are going throughout Mercury retrograde and we are feeling these highs and lows that we're feeling, I think it's helpful to remember and have some perspective.
Oh yeah.
That's a lovely way to close, I feel like.
Yes.
At least the Mercury retrograde part of
Yeah.
the
I was gonna say it's a
discussion.
perfect segue to speaking
it
about
is.
like reframing thought processes and thoughts and things. We kind of thought of this a little last minute, but it's kind of a good little topic. Obviously, we are all creative in some way or another, and that's what the podcast is for. But if you didn't know, couldn't tell, the Western world particularly, is kind of a shit show at the moment. And everything is being impacted. The entertainment industry has been being impacted for a while. And so there's not a lot of traditional opportunity or space to be as creative, I think, as some of us want to be. So we kind of wanted to take the time to talk about what we do to stay positive, what we do to maintain creativity, what we do to reframe our minds around this and nearing grad and post-grad life of...
I wish I was nearing grad. I'm not there yet, guys.
Well, aren't you? You're a junior now.
Yeah, it still feels so far away.
Girl, you're
sorry, that's me sitting in my
you're good.
despair.
No, you're good. Yeah, she's nearing grad. Just
You'd be surprised how quick. it goes.
yeah. Your senior year, you're gonna think your senior year.
You're gonna
it's
breathe.
gonna
And
start.
you're gonna be at
yeah,
the graduation.
It's gonna
be at
start. You're gonna go.
graduation.
Damn, I got a whole year left. Next thing you know, you're gonna have a month left. You're gonna go. Oh my God, I have to go into the real world.
I can't believe it's quite literally.
Guys, this is my thing. I lived in the real world like
You've been
before
to
this.
the
Yeah.
interior world.
It's just for me it's hard to go back to school.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Once you get a taste of the real world,
Yes.
it's so hard to go back. So like props to you for doing it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't have done it if my father hadn't like pushed me.
I just hit my tooth. That's so embarrassing. That's so
Are
embarrassing.
you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. But that your dad was the one who pushed you to go back to school?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I took a good long like year and a half, almost 2 years. I just like working my service industry jobs and trying to do freelance stuff and things, and it was mainly during COVID. But yeah, he really pushed me to finish, and I'll always be grateful for that. So
I love that. Yeah, I feel you. I did like a semester of real college, then a year off, then another semester of college, and then 3 years of no college, and then went back to school. So in that time, like, really framed my idea of what like living in your 20s was. And now, and also, but it was like living in your 20s in Utah too. So I think like the freedom, I'm like missing that freedom that I felt, and like the ability to just like do anything at any time that I wanted.
Exactly. And you also feel not you, but I also felt sitting back in a class and being as like casual or like confident and like just like enough to where I've like lived an adult life to go back into a classroom and then have to take direction from someone who's like,
Oh my gosh.
treating you like a child, and you're surrounded by people who aren't as responsible or at a maturity level that you're at. It's really hard to like sit it through and just kind of like go through the process, because that's what it feels like at the end of the day. You're like, I'm not really gaining anything like educational wise. I'm really just proving to a future employer that I can finish something that I started.
Right?
And so it's, yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting. I like felt different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I haven't gone back to school, but Co-op, which is the nonprofit Sterling does, it's essentially like night school. And I like loved being back in that type of setting. Like, it was like so much fun. To be fair, I didn't live like an adult life before I went to college. I graduated high school, then I went to college, and then I was in college, and I was like, I'm an adult. No, I wasn't. But I was like, I'm an adult. I'm renting a place. I do my own errands, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I liked being in that, even in that night class, in the sense that like school like my thing with being an adult and living an adult life is like I have goals and aspirations, but there's no one way to do it, which like there's beauty to having multiple whatever. I like structure. I like having a path. I like knowing if I do this is it's like an equation. I know if I add this and this together it will equal this, which is not what life is. That's been so fun for me to learn. And school is like a really great way for me to like start acclimating to adult life while still feeling like my days were filled with something where I was being productive and I was working towards something. I was working towards my degree. I was working towards gaining experience in that. And then I also had like community. Like I had a community of people that was going through something similar, and like co-op was like, it was nice because then it was like I'm being productive. Like I'm given a structure. I'm working towards something. I know if I do this and I do this, I will get this at the end. And I was in a group of people that were going through the same thing, and I don't know. It's just to me, it's like I liked it in the sense. Also, because like I really like learning and I like getting instruction from people. So it's also like nice. I think I like having mentors. I like having people tell me like advice or information or like not like what to do, but like I guess for lack of a better term. So I know it's just interesting because we have like such different point of views. But I get what you guys are saying too. Where like when I was like my senior year of college, there was a point in time where I was like, I wish I could just work. I was like, I do not want to write another paper. I don't want to take another test. I don't have to worry about this. Like, I wish I could just do my on-campus jobs and go home. Like, there was a point where I was like, that's just all I want to do. Like, I don't need this right now. So I understand where that is too, where you're like, I just want to do my own stuff. Like, I don't need to be able to have to do all this all the time.
Yeah, I feel like that's where I'm at. Like, I am like kind of at a mix from what both of you guys are saying. Like, I am finally, I would say, like settled into the fact that I'm in school and like succumbing to being in school, and that's what my life is. And it's like it's like a daily, weekly battle for me to be like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing now. Let me enjoy where I'm at now, because there will be the time where all I will be doing is working, even though this feels just like working too. But I don't know, but I'm just trying to enjoy it. I am trying to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But now that we all kind of have an idea of like where we stand as far as like where we're at in school and our feelings on it, to the point of like, how does one continue to stay inspired post grad? And what was it?
Like just like post grad and like creativity, like how to like stay positive, like in like your creative art and like
especially in an industry where like I feel like in an industry where the opportunities that usually are available for young creatives aren't available right now.
I feel like my solution to it has been to create your own things, to kind of be a self-starter in that way of like, I'm someone who believes that there's multiple solutions to the same problem, and I actually really enjoy exploring those different avenues and like finding a creative way to get to the end of a problem. But and I think it really like was impressed upon me in film school was that like you are in charge of your own art, and you know it's this constant process of like putting your all into a project, being open to it being torn apart, like just being told that like, you know, and learning from it, but like ultimately like scrapping it, throwing it in the bin, and just starting right again and again and again and again until something sticks and it gets better and better and better. And I do enjoy that process, and I feel like I've implemented that into like just my life. It helps me kind of stay motivated and like moving, because I can't not create. I get very like sad and like purposeless if I'm not. So in some way I have, it feels like you get to the point where it feels just kind of like an instinct. But then there were periods of time where like, again, during those 2.5 years where I took a break off of school, I was also not really doing creative things for myself either. I hadn't picked up a camera in so long. But and that time was also very meaningful and like taught me a lot as well. But as of right now, that's kind of my perspective, is like you just make it. You make the thing with whatever it is that you have.
That makes me think of a TikTok I saw about somebody being like, well, it's just the classic imperfect action is better than no action.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, what, I can't remember what they said exactly, but it's like doing something that is 60% finished and putting that out is better than not doing something at all.
Yeah. My biggest thing, I always see this on like TikTok or Twitter or whatever. It's just like the time is gonna pass anyways.
Right.
Like, if you just like sit and you wait for the perfect time or the perfect product, like it's gonna pass anyways. Like if you're like, oh, you know, I don't know, and then 6 months later you still don't know. That 6 months you could have just done it anyways, and then you would have been better, and then you'd be better by that time. That's something I see a lot for like when people want to start like pick up like an instrument. They're like, oh, I suck, I don't want to do it. It's like, well, the time of your life will still pass. Might as well start now, and then maybe you'll be good at some point. You know,
that's what literally was the final straw for me to go get the degree, to go back to school. I was like, I'll be 25 when I'm graduating from college, but either way, I'm gonna be 25.
Yeah, exactly.
I might as well have a degree and be 25.
Right. No, seriously. I've been feeling like that, like, itch to want to act, and like I have not really like done anything since quite literally post grad, and it's been a year. It's coming up on almost a year since I've like quite literally like enriched myself in something, and that's like sickening to me to like not. And the last time that happened was like COVID, when like I wasn't in something, or I wasn't like enriching myself in something. Like I have been actively like doing acting things. I've been self-taping. I've been constantly going out to auditions, but I haven't like enriched myself like in a project where like I've been like in a series, or like I've been like doing what I thought I was going to be doing post grad at this time. And like right now all of the seniors at Cal Arts are going to Showcase, and it's like this time last year I was in New York doing Showcase, and like me at Showcase this time last year was thinking like I was going to be in a very different place than where I am now, and I can't change that where I am right now to where I thought I was going to be this time last year. And it's just interesting how everything unfolds. And but I will say, like, at this time, like, one of the things that I have tried to do and thinking about is like, excuse me, my coffee's making me want to burp, but like not being embarrassed to put out media, and being like putting out stuff like to keep your creative mind like going. And so like now that TikTok is, I mean, it's been no longer banned, but like thinking about like putting out creative motives on TikTok, or like thinking about like resurfacing like old media and self-taping myself doing monologues, just to like keep my brain active when like you know, I'm done with work at the end of the day, and like even though I'm tired, it's like, okay, but like I need to work and keep up my craft, or like looking at like, you know, spending the extra money to like go and do an acting class, because it's like at the end of the day, it's like I didn't go to school to be a front desk worker. I didn't go to school to be a barista. I went to school to be a professional. Like I went to school. I mean, I hated school. Fucking hated school.
Right.
But that's just because I wasn't good at school. But like Cal Arts to me wasn't school. It was training. I didn't train to be a barista. I didn't go to school to training to do all these like part-time jobs. I'm doing all these part-time jobs so I can do what I went to school for, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just the life of a struggling artist, and everyone kind of knows that going into being a struggling artist. You kind of know that. But I think especially right now, of where like the just like just industry is right now, it's like hard for even like bigger stars, like more well-known stars. The industry is just like no one's. I mean, I've talked to like producers and you know, managers that have come into the gym that I work at, and they're like, yeah, it's just really slow right now. And I'm like, if one more person says that it's slow. But I have to take credit back to like what a professor told me literally again this time last year. I can't keep saying that, but
no, you're good.
like I had a professor Kathy, love you. She'll never watch this, but Kathy, she told me this great advice that, like, again, and credits to, you know, Sterling too, like, you got to create your own art. And it's like, but what does that mean? Create your own art, you know, like, what does that entail? Like, what does that mean? Like, everyone says create your own art, but then, like, when I sit down to myself and I'm like, as an actor, I'm like, what does that mean? And what does that fulfill within myself to create my own art? You know?
Well, I think it's that key right there. I think it's as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like, for myself, I really got into the swing of creating things when I let go of who I told myself I was, because I didn't do anything as a cinematographer, and that's what I went to school for. And that's what I was passionate about, and I was convinced that was going to be what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I felt that with a strong conviction. And then sitting through that disillusionment, like, I sat there and I, like, cried and I, like, mourned that, because I recognized that, like, that wasn't, while it is, I'm open to it, like, kind of circling back in strange and unusual ways, because life usually does that. I needed to open myself up to no longer categorizing myself as this one specific thing. Like, if I look back to what got me to go to film school, or even prior to that as a child, like, I just love art.
Yeah.
So I opened myself up, and it went down different avenues, and I'm still down in different avenues, but I think, like, I'm still feeling really fulfilled as well. So it's like, and you never know what those avenues are going to inform into your acting.
Yeah.
You know, like, if you open maybe into writing or directing or you know, these sorts of things where you're like, I'm not just this one thing, I'm so multifaceted.
Right.
And I think,
I have, like, thought about, like, looking into, like, even though it doesn't pay, like, I have looked into, like, maybe, like, considering, like, doing, like a community theater, like a musical or something, just to, like, get myself back into, like, that, like,
there's
rain
so
again,
much good theater.
you
There's
know?
so, that's what I was gonna say, to ask you, like, thoughts about doing theater.
Yeah, like, and I never thought that I would, like I kind of was gonna be like, no, like, I'm strictly film, like, da 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 da. But I'm like, honestly, like, I just miss it. Like, I just miss it. And that's kind of when you started, and I feel bad for cutting you off, but, like, when you were saying, like, kind of take you back to, like, what got you there in the first place, and I was like, theater did, and, like, musical theater specifically, like, so now I'm kind of like.
Also, I think in LA too, something that I've learned recently is almost all the film actors came from theater. Like, especially, like, there's so much good, like, I feel like LA gets a bad rep for, like, their theater, but there's so much good theater in LA. And the community there is just like I've done one show in LA, and now I know, like, so many different aspects of, like, the LA acting community. Everybody knows everybody. It's so intertwined, and that's, like, a huge thing that will support you in then getting more acting work.
Yeah. And that show was so good. Cammy was in a beautiful Shakespeare in the Park show. It was really so beautiful.
Thanks, guys. It was long as fuck.
I also was gonna say, I feel like another thing too, in, like, the word keeps coming up, but, like, community is, like, super important. Like, for me, I kind of funny. I actually don't really consider myself, like, a creative like that. Just because it's not something that I, like, actively do all the time. Like, I consider myself creative in the way that I think, and I love art, and I always have been more drawn to that stuff. But, like, in terms of where these lovely ladies have decided to dedicate their lives to it, I just more, like, want to be around it. What that is, I'm still deciding. But when I graduated in the last half of my senior year, after I came back from being abroad, and I was like, okay, I want to work in entertainment, let me just apply to all these jobs. And I didn't get into any of them because it's like fucking applying to Stanford. A million applications, one opening. It's hard. And
they're hiring the person they know.
Yeah, and they're hiring the person. And most
I
literally remember one time somebody at SAG, this really nice lady. She was so nice, like, so lucky that she answered my email. And I asked her, she was telling me about this thing, and I said, oh, I went to this one role. And she was like, oh, I think we're just gonna give it to the person that's been temping it. But because companies are they legally have to post it. So even if they don't ever intend on picking from those, they have to post it up.
I have a
people to apply
sick
to.
story about. I'll tell you afterwards. But
Okay. But yeah, like things like that. And so when I came home, I was like, okay, well, I know I want to do something around particularly film and TV, but like entertainment, but I don't really know what because I didn't study it. And my biggest goal was to find people that could help me, that like was to find a community, that's to find some people that could help me contextualize what I wanted to do. Which is like was low key. When I came to I oh sorry, bleep that.
Yeah.
When I came to redacted,
redacted,
and I like I went there and I was like, hey, it's just another job. I got offered like this what's the word? I got offered this like office job about like a month into my tenure at Redacted Coffee Shop, and it was like really well paying and like would have been like a good starting off point, just kind of like go anywhere in like corporate America, which is like essentially the goal when you study business. And I was having these like mental breakdowns because I like didn't want to do it. And one of the reasons why was because I was like, everybody at the coffee shop, I was telling my friend, I was like, everybody there is like super creative, and I was like, I feel like I could do a lot of like horizontal networking that could really benefit me in like a specific way. And I was like, and like even though I won't get paid and it like kind of sucks, I was like, I just feel like I could do this, could lead more towards something that I want to do versus like I could just do something that would get me a lot of money. And I ended up getting it, and obviously I'm here.
Because if you had taken it, we wouldn't be on this podcast right now.
Yeah, because I would have quit. Oh, redacted. I would have quit it in like April, and I got hired in March. I mean, in February.
Whoa.
So, like, yeah, I would have quit like about 2 months in, and then just worked at that other job.
That's crazy.
To your point about the coffee shop that we work at, like, I wasn't doing anything prior to it. I was happily working my little retail job and just living my life, and I was perfectly content. I don't know if you remember, like, perfectly content, like, not doing anything in the arts. And it was a former coworker turned friend of the pod, Maddox, who was like, dude, like, you have all of these things at your disposal, like, just do it, you know, like, just. And I did, and I started off really slow, and then it just kind of snowballed. But again, if I wasn't there, if I hadn't met him, or if I hadn't met some of the other regulars, I haven't met you guys, like, none of it, it would just be, I think it was all very, like, divinely timed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But yeah, and then with, like,
Agreed.
finding that community of people,
chills.
which is like hard.
See, even
Insanely
in that
hard.
decision, though, I think I would argue that you are a creative, though. I
Yes.
think you are.
Thanks.
I think that your, like, intrinsic, just like core, is that you want to be a creative, and that you are a creative, and that's the path
I
you
guess
want.
that's more like, I think in terms of like the textbook definition of like, or the textbook working definition of creative, which is like creating something for work and like dedicating your work life to an art form. I am not like that at the moment. I don't know, it could be, but I haven't been. I wasn't like that, like, growing up. Wasn't really an arts family. I was a sports family, so it was sports. I did 1 year show choir, and my mom said choose that or choose basketball, and I chose basketball.
I love that.
She said you have two roads before you.
well, actually,
Red or blue pill?
well, actually, my mother's whole thing was she wanted me to. Sorry, tangent. But my mother was wanted me to never have free time in high school, so I couldn't get in trouble. And basketball was a 3-hour after school commitment, whereas show choir was a 2 to 3 hour during comp season, 1 hour outside of comp season, and comp season was about a month and a half long. So she was like, don't do show choir, but if you really want to, I guess I can't stop you. And then I just was like, whatever, like, I guess I'll do the sport.
And I think how you become a paid creative is being so outspoken about being a creative that eventually you find those roles, you know what I mean, or they find you. Like,
divine timing.
Yeah, divine timing. And I think when you're outspoken about it and you say it with your chest and you let the universe know also that, like, hey, this is what I want and I'm ready for it, things start to align. And I feel like people also want to help you out.
Yeah.
I think that's like the biggest takeaway I've learned is like if you're just outspoken about the things that you're interested in, people are going to want to help you in that endeavor in some way. Because I do the same thing when people are telling me about their interests. In my head, I'm like, like, what do I know about this topic? How can I help this person? Like, what's a reference I can give them that like might be beneficial, something like that. Like, I think for the most part, people want to do that for one another. Obviously, there are haters
Agreed.
out there, obviously,
Yeah.
but they're easy to spot, and they're
Haters
loser
will hate.
weirdos.
Haters are gonna hate.
Yeah. I feel like being outspoken about what you want is just another form of manifestation.
It
So I
is.
completely
It
agree.
is.
Speak into existence the things you want and be mindful of the things you're saying because you're speaking that into existence as well.
I think it's also
Heavy on that.
Yeah, I also want to really emphasize what Sterling said earlier about like the reason why you want to be creative too, because like again coming from like my own personal thing of like I'm 2 years post grad. That's so gross, but I've been out of college for going on 2 years. And for a moment there, when I like was constantly getting rejected from everything, I was like, why do I even want to do this? I was like,
why?
it's like this industry. Please don't blackball me. This industry knowingly sucks in a lot of different ways. There's a lot of things that are dark and dirty about the entertainment industry, specifically Hollywood. And that's just kind of like fact. And not saying generalizing, but just like there are things that aren't the best in it. And it's a really hard industry to get into. Compound with the fact that when I graduated was during the SAG and WGA strike. So like graduated and then that immediately it started I think the week of my graduation. I was like, oh, that's fun. And then as Bella said earlier, like people aren't really filming out here anymore. They aren't filming a lot in general. The job market for every industry sucks. Like there's a lot of compounding things that made me think for a second. I was like, what's the point in me trying so hard to get into this industry that also for all intents and purposes has said I don't want you there? Because I was like a year and a half at that point, or kind of now of like it's not much. And then I would just like have to sit with myself and be like, well, the one thing I've always really liked is like watching, like my quality love language time is going to watch a movie with my friends. Like if I got to watch a movie every single night with my friends, oh my god, my life would be so good. I would be kicking my feet. Like I love watching movies with friends. Like that's like literally like I love doing that stuff, and it's the one thing that like makes me feel fulfilled. And so then I was like, well, and then I guess I have to at least try. And if, yeah, like I can, even if it doesn't work out the way that I dream, I can at least say I gave it like my 200%, you know?
Yes.
And that's like really, I feel like when you're in this point of like, what am I doing? Nothing is working out. You have to really think about like, why do I want to do it? And if it feels like just in your gut and your chest, you're like, if I didn't try, I would be more upset. Then you have to try. You owe it to yourself to at least try, you know?
To at least try. Yeah, I completely agree. I really do. I think for me, like, where I'm at with my creativity and fostering that is trying to, like, de-stakify it. Like, take out all the stakes of making art. I am in art school right now, so I'm blessed that I'm in a position where I'm, like, forced to make art every day.
They're literally like, it's a grade.
It's literally a grade. So it's making me go, okay, so, like, I want to be making art. My goal, like, it's making me rethink what I want to do. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm phrasing that well.
No, you are.
But I think for all of us to contextualize our art as something that has no weight to it. You know what I mean? Like, we can make bad art and that says nothing about us. We can just make art to make art, and that's just kind of where I'm at.
Yes, absolutely. And really consider, is making art what you want to do for money?
Yes. Taking out the financial burden, putting on yourself to make art. Oh my gosh, it's changing social media for me in a way. Like that idea. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, no stakes, and we already as artists put so much pressure when there's like no external stakes. We're going to be our most intense critic of the thing that we put out. So I mean, like, just lighten the load. I think it's a completely valid approach to be like, you know, I don't want to do this for money. I do this for fulfillment in other ways. I think that helped me with my output with like being a freelance photographer and kind of reshaping, like, you know, I don't necessarily feel drawn to be having a career that's based off of my particular artistic, like, I'm trying to find how to phrase this. Like, I'm not trying to have a career that pays me due to the fact that I am such a visionary in the work that I do. It's like, I reframed it in a way that was like, this is a skill that I learned, whether I like it or not. Like, I know the language of a camera, of lighting and all of that. Like, I can translate this in a way that a customer will want this and will purchase that skill, and that almost like a trade. And that has helped me so much with, yeah, like getting those kinds of jobs and that output. But I also think it's a completely valid decision to come to as an artist, where you realize like, hey, I'm not willing to do that, and that's okay. I'm gonna like find something that's gonna pay my bills, and I'm gonna keep my artistic practice to myself, and I'm gonna keep it sacred and kind of, you know.
Yeah, there is a bit of sacrifice that comes with monetizing your art. And it's one that is personal and that each artist has to decide. And I think it makes me think about like going back to like Sierra finding like the job that will be best for you, right? Like the sacrifice there that you have to make.
Sorry, my mic fell. Yeah, no, it's like for me it was one of those things where it was like, yes, I want money and I want to like make money and be comfortable. Again, I don't want to be poor anymore, but
anyone wants to be poor.
Well, yeah, nobody, like, yeah, but
Me?
No.
Actually, did not hear that.
But like I guess the thing I had was like, am I money motivated or not?
Right.
And I've ultimately decided like I'm not in the most core parts of myself. I am, in the sense that like, just like I think more as a response to having grown up underneath the poverty line. Like, I'm always going to be a little bit money motivated just because I know what it's like to live in poverty.
Right.
Therefore, I don't want to do that.
I completely understand that.
Yeah, but like in terms of like I know people, I have family members who like go where the money goes. Like they don't care. They'll take whatever gives them the most amount of money, because to them that's what working is. Like, working to them is to make money, which is fine. If that's you, that's fine. Like
that's fine.
And that's what no, like, no, I'm here. Like that's what gets you through your 9 to 5. That's what gets you through your day. Like, knowing that you have the funds to do what you can do outside of work. Like, period. I kind of wish I was like you. I realized like I care No, I know
that would be such a boring life.
Yeah.
Respectfully,
like that's my thing, is like I realize
respectfully
like even now, like my current job now, I don't know if I want to put this in there, but I've had jobs where like they pay me well, or like I make money, but like I don't like what I'm doing, and therefore I don't want to be there. I hate going there. I don't like being there. I don't like doing the work. I want to leave. And so to me, I realized like I want my work to be something that I enjoy, and therefore I have no problem monetizing my versions of art or my versions of creativity, because that's what I enjoy doing.
But there are people that like go about their life that like they are so money driven that they will sacrifice their own fulfillment in life of like their careers so that they can live their life lavishly, like by being money driven. They're like, I will go to the office and be miserable and be living this life like where I hate my job so that I can make all this money and then like waste it all on clothing and girls, or you know, et cetera, or like, but that's just not how we all operate. Like, we couldn't go to an office job or another job and be miserable just to make profit and like have satisfaction on inanimate like objects, or like just like this thing that doesn't exist, which is money, you know? Like,
yeah, I feel like there's just like I think like there's just a balance.
Yeah,
like some people are creatives and need to live life in a way that fulfills, or needs to work in a way that fulfills them. And then other people don't operate like
Yeah.
us. They
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
don't.
Some
Yeah.
people literally are fine, like, going to work and then
And just-
experiencing their life outside of work.
And that's
Mhm.
necessary.
Yeah.
We
Is
need
that
that
kind of what
in our
sex is?
society. We need that. We need people that enjoy the mundane, or
Yeah.
the what we deem. And I also think that's an important
Yeah,
conversation.
that's true.
That,
We're
like,
biased
to
in our thoughts
not
processes.
to not demonize like trade jobs, like you were saying, like
Mhm.
not demonize people going and working in corporate offices. We need that.
Yeah.
I think the overarching idea is to facilitate your own creative needs
Mhm.
outside of the stress that is our daily lives.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
also some
Yeah.
people, their form of like being creative and enjoying creativity is just consuming it. Like,
Yeah.
you need people like, there are obviously people like
We
us
need
that like who want to create every single day, but there has to be people that consume it. And most people that consume it are people who don't feel the need to
Mhm.
create, and they will go
Yes.
to their 9 to 5.
And that exchange of
Right.
energy is so much needed. Like
Mhm.
both
Right.
are
Yeah.
needed.
That's kind of. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I feel like in most of the, like you were saying, it's a balance, and at the end of the day, your product is like the art that you make, and if you're lucky enough and are willing to allow like your creative vision to come through into a product and have it be sold, like those environments 9 times out of 10 look like an office,
Right.
with the
Mm.
rare occasion that you're in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, like
Mhm.
the reality is that like, with the exception of actors, I feel like, I'm not sure, I haven't been in that side of the camera, but like if you're gonna work in production,
Yeah.
that's the reality, is that like it's a hybrid of like this corporate environment
Mhm.
as well as creative, and so you kind of have, and I've been learning that as I got older, that like it's not so bad. The water isn't so
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah.
It's okay, you
Mhm.
know, and like there's like-minded people there, and they're cool, and it's not this like big scary thing that I feel like I was scared of an office for the longest time, like scared of that cubicle and like having that fate of like a 9 to 5. But I think maybe just as you get older, it doesn't seem so scary.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
it ebbs and flows.
Mhm.
Like this summer, I'm begging and aching for the universe to give me a 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be so lovely. And then last summer, like that would have been my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
And like, you know, it like ebbs and flows.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I also feel like that's like a like kind of not to play devil's advocate, or like that's not what I'm trying to do, but like being creative is also kind of like being part of a startup.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have any time for yourself, like ever.
Mm.
Like start like the amount of people I've talked to startups, my school is very tech focused. Like startups are 80-hour work weeks, working on the weekends, working at nights. You maybe make a lot of money, but you also sacrifice a lot of time. Same thing with being creative. Do you know how many like creatives I follow on social media, or like people who work themselves in creative pursuits that replicate 9 to 5 schedules just to give themselves a semblance of normality and balance in their lives, you know? So that's just like another thing to think about, I guess, and wherever this conversation is headed.
That's
in terms
exactly
of,
how
like,
I
their-
feel.
Yeah,
currently I have an 80-hour work week. Like,
Yeah.
I
Oh, yeah.
literally have an 80-hour work week.
yeah.
An 80-hour work week with no guarantee of health insurance.
Right.
No, literally.
But-
we've been sold this idea, this like fantasy with freelance work, that it somehow is more freedom available to you,
Right.
when in reality it's just stripping away those protections that things like the Industrial Revolution put in place for a reason.
Yeah.
Like we
Right.
want, and working freelance does it, like, yes, there's unions, but you have to grind to get into a union,
Oh yeah.
just to qualify for like stuff like healthcare.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just
So-
dental insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like there's the grass, there's greener grasses on each side.
Yeah.
But-
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like all of us though
Exactly.
would prefer whatever we do to be at least semi-creative, or to
Yes.
be within the creative world, whatever that is.
But yeah,
To
definitely.
round it off, though, I feel like we should say maybe like tips
Oh, yeah.
for either like self-care or how to. I know we're rounding up on time. That's why. I'm
Oh,
just
yeah.
Oh no. I think like a tip is a good round off.
Do you want to start? Do you have a thought?
Yeah. But I think as a creative, when you're out of school and you're not doing what you thought you were wanting to do, the best tip I can give you, especially when like you're doing a million one other jobs opposed to like what you really want to be doing, is to just kind of like recenter yourself back to your art in other forms, like finding like doing self-tapes by yourself, like and practicing doing monologues and rewatching that film back, and just to keep hopeful and to stay around a good community, I think is good. And I will say this is actually a really good tip. Staying around others that are motivated is one great tip I would say. Staying around other creatives that are motivated, because it keeps you motivated. Sorry, there was a lot of tips in one, but
I love it.
Me? Oh, I was gonna say like biggest thing, and that's kind of my advice for anything, but community is definitely like, I think not the best thing, but like top 3 things you can do. And like that, I'm not saying that's easy. Like I remember when I first moved back home and I got told to find community and like go to networking events and blah blah blah, and like that's scary. Like to go by yourself is super scary. So don't ever beat yourself up if you like, I don't know where to start. If you are like a working creative professional, like an actor or a singer or anything like that, like we have a friend who went to school for music and she joined a whole bunch of like jazz choirs at our local community college, or like what Bella's saying, like go to your local theater, go to an acting class, and you're gonna find people there. That you like. If you're like me, fingers crossed, you work at a coffee shop and all of your coworkers went to art school and they thought you were cool enough to be friends with. So yeah, doing things like that. And if you are outgoing, girl, go to a networking event. I went to one. I met a lot of really cool people there. I don't know if I do it again. I was anxious out of my ass. I was literally like sweating. I was so anxious.
But you were an actress and you acted your way through it.
I sure did. But yeah, just put yourself out there and know, like, no matter what you can do, as long as you're putting yourself in those spaces, you're always taking one step to be in those spaces. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's my advice.
I love that.
The other couch advice?
I think I'll just harp on the same point, which is like, just make it. Like, just do with whatever resources you have, if it's your iPhone or like, yeah, just anything, a pencil and a piece of paper, like just do it without, and just have it exist in the world without needing, like you were saying, having expectations for it, and also removing your ego enough to allow for criticism, and because ultimately it's growth. I think like the biggest compliment that I can get is when a friend, someone I care about and I value the opinion of, it sees the work that I'm trying to do and wants to contribute by making it better, and that comes through honest criticism and critique, you know. And so like I would say, yeah, just get comfortable with being uncomfortable in that. Yeah.
I agree.
I like that. Cammie, bring us home.
My tips are, okay, 1, be brutally honest with where you're at. You cannot expect yourself to like book a TV show when you haven't ever worked. You know, like, be brutally honest with yourself. Be brutally honest with where you want to be and what you want, and schedule out time. Like, saying, oh, I want this to happen, you're gonna keep saying that for a year. I have a friend who's saying, like, I want to do all these things, but they're not making the time for it. My tips would just be, yeah, make time for it, schedule it into your calendar to give yourself time to create, and then 2, know where you're at, and so you don't demonize yourself when you don't make art that isn't representative of where you want to be.
That's really good advice.
That was beautiful advice.
Thanks, guys.
I think it's a beautiful way to end the pod today.
End the pod.
Yes.
End the podcast.
Slay.
That was a great episode, guys.
Yes.
Thank you
for
all.
coming.
Thank you all for listening.
Watching.
And we'll be back next week
luck.
with some great topics.
Great topics.
Something
great
great.
convo.
Something great to talk about.
Okay.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Good.
Great.
Guys.
Go
I thought that was really good.
team.
That was a good step forward.
I agree. I loved our flow.
Yeah, that was a really good episode.
Oh.
I really enjoy